Hey everyone, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are starting a new series called Ask the Experts. We get a lot of questions on the Intune team about how to deploy things like Office, EXE applications, enterprise Wi-Fi. So today we're going to dig in and we're going to look at how to deploy Office through Microsoft Endpoint Manager. I am joined today by Garrett Chandler. Garrett sits on the United States Microsoft Education team as a technical specialist, focusing on modern workplace, but has a huge array of skills going to SCCM, Intune, and he has been for the last couple of years my expert when it comes to deploying Office. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Garrett to show us how it's done.
All right, thanks so much, Joe, for having me on the call. Today we're going to talk about deploying Office Pro Plus with device-based subscription, which is very popular in EDU institutions, both higher ed K-12 across the world. So we're going to focus on that, deploying it through Intune today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen out so that you can see this. All right, so to get started, know that we have to get the Office 365 Pro Plus device license SKU into our tenant. So in order to do this, you actually have to make a request to your reseller. So anyone that you're getting your Microsoft licensing from should be able to get this license into your tenant for you, but it is available upon request. You do have enough coverage for all of your students and end users that are licensed as EQUs or education qualified users. So you should be able to get enough licenses in your tenant to cover your entire fleet of devices. To give it a little bit of background, device-based subscription was released last August of 2019, as a way to deploy Office and activate it based on the device. So if you think back a little bit towards our previous releases of Office with both Office 365 Pro Plus, but also more of the MSI versions, right? Your Office 2016, 2019, etc. We were able to activate those with a KMS or Mac key and Office 365 Pro Plus with a user license. In EDU, that's a little challenging because we have a lot of shared devices. And so with the awesome teamwork of the product group, we've released a new way to license these devices in a shared configuration based on the device. There's a few prereqs that we have to do to get device-based subscription working in our environment. And so I'll walk through some of those prereqs and then how we can actually deploy this into your environment today. So those prereqs today exist around the Office 365 Pro Plus version. You do have to have a build of 1907 or greater. So that was the August-September release of Office back in 2019. And that is on the monthly channel, right? You could also, if you're using semi-annual channel, the released version would be in February of 2020 that you're able to take advantage of DBS. You also need to have a current version of Windows 10 running at least 1803 or higher. And then we have to have the device account in Azure AD, right? So we actually have to get the device record up into Azure AD. A lot of folks are still on-prem today with their computer records still in on-prem AD. If you still have devices that are on-prem today, we do have hybrid Azure AD configuration. That's a little outside the scope of this call for configuring hybrid Azure AD join, but we'll throw some resources in for you to go take a look at that. Or if you have the device in a cloud-only mode, right, fully Azure AD joined and managed by Intune. So we just have to have that device record up in Azure AD for this to take effect. The end user, even though that we're licensing the device, the Office client with the device license, we still need the end users to be licensed with an active A3 subscription or higher. So they have to be licensed to use the Pro Plus suite. So make sure that your users are licensed for that as well. I also recommend that you be using the latest Office deployment tool release just as a best practice. And then you can download the latest ADMX templates if you're using group policy, or in this case, we're going to use Intune for some of those customizations. So the first thing we want to do is, after we get this device license in our portal, quick note on this, you're actually only going to be able to see this in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So if you go to portal.office.com, make sure you're using the new Admin Center here. And you can check that you're using the new Admin Center by this toggle in the upper right-hand corner. And then if you go into billing and licenses, you will see that Pro Plus license. At this time today, you will not see this license in Azure AD or in the Office 365 portal. So the Microsoft 365 Admin Center is the place to actually see this Pro Plus license. The next thing that we're going to do is actually go into Azure AD, and we're going to create a dynamic group. So I'm going to swing back over here, and this is my Azure AD portal. So I've created a group. If we go into all groups and create a new group, I have created one just called DBS O365 Pro Plus, and it's a dynamic group. And I'm going to talk about why I've done this way. I'll throw this string in here as a resource for you to look at. But when we create a dynamic group, we want to make sure that we're targeting all of our devices that are Windows 10 1803 or higher. And so I actually have the property right now as a device OS type for being Windows, because DBS is only available on Windows today. It's not available on Mac or Linux. And then the specific OS version, I'm using a regex string right here. Again, I'll throw this in the resources so that you can extract that out and mimic that in your own environment. So just by creating this Azure AD group, I'm going to pull in all the devices that are running Windows 10 1803 or higher. And I'm going to use this as my targeting for assigning the licenses to all of these devices. So we're actually going to go back into our Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and we're going to click on this license. And you're going to notice that there is an assign licenses. So I'm going to click assign licenses, and then you're going to search for your group name. And then you're going to target that group that you just created so that those licenses apply. In my environment, I've only got 3 licenses available. I only have 3 clients, and I actually created my subscription here, and I have the assigned licenses to that group. So you can definitely do that in your environment. Super easy, but you've got to create that group first. All right, so now that we've got the licenses tied to our group, we actually need to go configure the Office 365 Pro Plus install. Most of you are familiar. If we go back to the MSI days, we used an Office customization tool that was built into the product for us. So we would call setup.exe with a /admin on there, get into this customization setup, and we can tweak all the different settings for how we want Office to behave. We've modernized that with something called the Office customization tool online. So if we just go to config.office.com, we can actually build out our configuration.xml. So one note on that is that Office 365 Pro Plus, if you've been deploying it today or recently, you know that the customization tool is based off this XML. It's right, a set of rules that Office is going to follow during that install. So we built this as a template for you to kind of come in here and pick and choose your methods. And so I'm going to come in here really quick. And we're going to select Microsoft 365 Apps for Enterprise, because if you probably heard just recently, we have announced that Office 365 Pro Plus is going to be renamed to Microsoft 365 Apps, and that's already updated in the cloud version. I'm going to choose monthly channel because I recommend the monthly channel for all the latest feature and security updates. That's really important when it comes to our accessibility tools for students and making sure we've got the latest and greatest for them. And then I can come in here and choose specific products that I don't want in there. So maybe I don't want Access or Publisher, Skype for Business because we're using Teams, right? We'll go ahead and click that. We'll select our language. I'm going to choose English for the sake of this demo. And choose some of the installation options here. So the Office Content Delivery Network, this is where we're going to pull all the latest information from the Office CDN is what we call it, but that's where the latest bits of Office reside. If you want to use a local source, you can absolutely use that. Or if you are a Microsoft Endpoint Manager, Configuration Manager shop, you can definitely leverage those bits within the CM console. Again, because we're doing this through Intune, I'm going to choose the CDN. I'm going to not show the installation to the user. I'm not going to pin any of the icons to the taskbar. I'll keep logging on, and I'm going to click Next. And then updates are the same way, right? We can choose our source where we want to deploy those updates from. I'll choose the CDN for this one, and I'm going to automatically check for those updates and make sure that we have that. Just a really quick call out, if you are looking to deploy DBS on top of any previously existing versions of Office, we do have a built-in capability to remove those existing versions on there, so we'll keep that on. And we have some additional options around different languages and making sure that you can upgrade to the latest architecture. So if you're on 32-bit, make sure that it's only upgraded to 32-bit, 64, etc. We'll skip all of that. And this is where we're really going to get into the heart of it. In the licensing and activations, we are going to go ahead and automatically accept the EULA. It's just a best practice for our end users not to see that. And then we come into the product activation section. And this is where we have the options to do user-based, shared computer activation, and device-based. And we're going to choose device-based. What is the difference between shared computer and device-based activation? It's a great question. Shared computer activation has been around for a number of years. It is a definitely supported solution from the Office group around shared devices. When you look at user-based with Office 365 Pro Plus, when you actually install the bits and then you open or launch one of the products for the first time, Word, for example, the end user is actually going to be prompted to activate it by signing in. In EDU, that's kind of a broken experience because we really don't want our kindergartners to have to log in again into those applications to get them activated. And on top of that, that's actually using some of the licenses that are given to you within your Office 365 subscription, right? And so when you do a user base, it's going to consume one of those licenses. Shared computer activation allows us to deploy the device or the Office Pro Plus client onto the device, and someone will have to log in still, but it won't consume those licenses. A couple of tricks with that is that they will have to log in, and there is an internet connection required. So device-based is really recommended for EDU so that we don't have the double prompt. And it doesn't always require an internet connection upon launch because we do have a bunch of students that may not have an internet connection at home or that travel a lot, and they may not always have that internet connection. So we want to do them a service and give them the device-based subscription option. So we'll click next. Finish this out. We can add any additional application preferences that we want. And you'll notice that we've got everything on the right-hand side to review for this. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done. I just saved it as an untitled configuration, but you can absolutely name it like DBS. You can see here I've got one already created, and I can see that we've got device-based activation. So that's great. We've got our Office customization tool, and we can absolutely deploy this in whatever manner we want. All right, so now that we have our XML data created, so really quick, we are able to download this and get the XML file that we need, right? I'm going to jump back into my Microsoft Endpoint Manager console. This is Intune, right, for those who are using it today. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to click Apps, and then under by platform, choose Windows, and then Windows Apps. And I'm going to click Add. And under the Office 365 suite, we're going to click Windows 10, and I'm going to click Select. And now we have a great way to quickly create the Office 365 app. So there's automatically, it's giving you a name. So it's called Office 365 for Windows 10. So I'm going to append this and just add DBS in here. We'll definitely feature this as a featured app in the company portal. And I'm going to click Next. And now we have the ability to configure the app suite, right? And what we've done within the Intune console, we've really made this easy to customize the Office installation by using the configuration designer built into Intune, so you don't have to use the Office customization tool. However, we also have the ability to enter XML data automatically. So we could create something in the Office customization tool, download that, copy the text out of it, and paste it in there. You'll notice, though, this is kind of a limited view of the Office customization tool. We had a lot more capabilities within that tool. And so in this particular example, right, under the properties, we only have shared computer activation. We don't have device-based activation. And so in this example, I'm going to choose to enter my XML data. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download. Oh, I'm going to go back really quick. I'm going to download my XML. I'm going to keep the current settings. Click OK. I'm just going to call this DBS. Download this. It's going to open it up in a notepad. Drag it over here. You'll notice all of my configurations. Take a look at this right here. Device-based licensing with a value equals 1. That's going to set a registry key in the path that Office 365 Pro Plus is installed into in Windows. This is going to be the key that's going to enable the Office installation to be device-based activated. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to copy all the text over here, minimize that. I'm going to come back to my mem suite, and I'm going to paste that XML data in there. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to skip script tags for right now. And now I have the assignments. So, as you can probably guess, I'm going to make this a required installation, and I'm going to add a group. And I am going to search for my DBS group that I created. Here it is. I select it, click Next, click Create, and this is going to create my Office activation and assign it to my devices that are already populated into that group that we assigned the licenses to. So now all we need to do is take a device, test it, and make sure it activates successfully. There you go.
Wow, it's really that simple, huh? You just create the XML file, make sure that you've assigned those device licenses to the Azure Active Directory dynamic group, and then push the package out, and Office will install on all of those Intune managed targeted devices.
You got it.
This is fantastic. This is so much easier than the 20 diskettes I remember of insert disk 1, insert disk 2. This is also great for education because this way kids aren't having to sign into their computers over and over again. And then they get that student use benefit where they have those 5 licenses that they can go install Office on all of their personal devices, right?
Absolutely. And again, I made mention of it briefly where you have the ability to have some of the built-in accessibility controls, which is a great offering within the Microsoft 365 suite. Not to even mention our latest announcement around the editor. It's like a built-in editor that'll help check grammar and things like that in a much more robust way than we've had before in Word and different platforms. So a lot of benefit to use the full suite for your students. And again, it can be taken off network at any given point. The student does not need an internet connection to have this device checked in. Fully supported by Microsoft, and we'll definitely show you some of the resources at the bottom.
Well, that's fantastic, Garrett. You are my personal expert on so many accounts that you've helped me deploy this on, and I'm sure you're an expert worldwide. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on here and explain it to all of us. This creates a really great resource for all of us watching this to be able to start to bring this to our customers, or if you're an education customer watching, bring this to yourself and begin deploying the latest and greatest of Office. So Garrett, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Joe. Thanks for having me.